Disclaimer: the following presentation is not legal advice. While the author is a constitutional scholar of some 40+ years of experience, he is not a member of the bar and does not give legal advice. Therefore, what you see here is not how government sees it, or more accurately, it is not how government wants you to see it. It is, however, how I see it, and I can read plain English and understand it. Your government political officer, or your commissar, if the Democrats win to their prize, will surely see it differently. And if you object, they will have you see that rough-looking guy with a shotgun over there by the mass grave. That's what communists and fascists do. I am a constitutionalist. I became one shortly after returning to the U.S. after 4 years in an openly socialist nation run by what amounted to a card-carrying Communist Labor Party government. I became one because upon returning to the United States I found the same philosophy of governance here as I had found there. I began studying the Constitution and our national history of dismantling it piece by piece, and I found out what is going on. Put simply, we have been the victims of a concerted, covert enemy insurgency that has been going on for so long and has been so successful, its perpetrators are now going overt. They believe the Constitution no longer matters because no one knows what it says anymore. No one believes in it anymore because they don't know what it says, and no one knows that it is one of the two most important and effective documents defining and protecting our liberty under the rule of law in the history of the planet. The other is the Declaration of Independence, upon which it is based. But I know, very shortly you will know, it is capable of stopping the covert, overt insurrection against our liberties like a mosquito being swatted by a pile driver. I have spent a great deal of time searching out members of what I call the opposition, the leftists, the gun banners, the anti-rights apparatchiks, and their useful idiot doofuses, the legislators at the state and federal levels who perjure their oaths of office daily, and informing them of what I am now informing you. It dawned on me that I have been missing the most important group of all, if the object is to preserve and protect our nation of liberties under the rule of law: gun owners. Specifically, gun owners who have fallen for the NICS check scam, who think they have a civic duty to give up every right they have in exchange for government permission to keep and bear arms in the interest of, quote, keeping guns out of the hands of people who shouldn't have them, end quote. Let's face reality. You are not ever going to keep guns out of the hands of people who shouldn't have them. The claim that you are, or that you have a civic duty to try, is part of the scam you have been suckered into to deprive you of your rights. All of your rights. The fact is, no crime or criminal access to a firearm has ever been prevented by a background check, nor were background checks ever intended to. The object of that scam is not only to deprive you of your right to keep and bear arms by converting the right into a revocable government-issued permission, but also to sucker you into waiving every other right you have in exchange for that permission. The democratic socialists trying to bring down our freedom-based nation are just salivating over the prospect of one day declaring the permission revoked and declaring all our other rights are gone too, because we waived them all in exchange for unauthorized government permission we don't need. The Fourth Amendment guarantees our right to be secure from unwarranted search and seizure of our rights or our property in the absence of probable cause of criminal conduct. Not maybe, possibly, gonna, but criminal conduct. This prohibits both the federal and state government from searching our records on government databases, fishing for some reason to deny us our rights. And it prohibits so-called extreme risk protection orders, ERPO, or so-called red flag laws. If a citizen is not accused of a crime, confiscating his property or his rights is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. Further, if the property to be confiscated is not, quote, particularly described, make, model, caliber, design, it violates the Fourth Amendment also. The Fifth Amendment guarantees our right, among others, to due process before any of our rights may be taken. The purchase or transfer of a firearm between law-abiding citizens is not evidence or probable cause or even suspicion of a crime. Being compelled to ask for government permission to exercise a right is a taking of the right and converts it into a revocable government-issued permission. No government at any level has any lawful authority to take any right without due process by conviction of criminal conduct in a court of law. The Ninth Amendment guarantees our long-standing doctrinal right to be secure from being compelled to give up any right in order to exercise any right. No government at any level has the lawful authority to compel us to give up the aforementioned rights or any of them in order to be allowed to purchase or transfer a firearm. The 10th Amendment says, quote, "The power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people," end quote. Nowhere in the Constitution is the power delegated to the federal government to even license firearm dealers. Nowhere in the Constitution is the power delegated to the federal government to compel us to ask permission of government to purchase or transfer a firearm. No federal law requiring this is valid, but rather is null and void from the moment of its inception for want of subject matter jurisdiction. The 10th Amendment guarantees our right to be secure from the federal exercise of power not delegated and state power prohibited by the U.S. Constitution. The federal government is not delegated the authority to abridge, infringe, monitor, permit, deny, or interfere in any way with the aforementioned rights. State governments are prohibited the authority to abridge, infringe, monitor, permit, deny, or interfere in any way with the aforementioned rights as well. States do have the police power to regulate the use of arms, but are prohibited the power to regulate or interfere with the right to keep and bear them. The Brady Act, which brought this evil and illegal background check into existence, needs to be abolished, and it would be better to do it now than wait until the Democratic Socialists declare their power and then have to do it kinetically. It has had no effect whatever on the crime rates and was never intended to. Like all gun control laws, it exists for the purpose of stripping us of our right to keep and bear arms in preparation for the takeover. They can't impose it without our help, and we need to stop helping them. We need to start demanding our rights be honored by the hundreds every time a gun banner opens his mouth, every time a legislator introduces gun-related legislation, every time a cop enforces a color of law on a victim exercising his or her rights. We can stop this anti-rights insurrection, but we have to stop helping the insurrectionists.